In the distant wilds of the Serengeti, where the mountains stretch toward, the sky and the wind whispers old secrets, lived a lion who had once ruled with unmatched power his mane. Once thick, now hung thin and tired over shoulders worn by time. He had been the master of the plains, a protector of his pride. His roar once shook the air, and his eyes saw every threat before it arrived. But age does not ask, it simply arrives slowly. His steps had lost their fire, and his claws no longer tore the ground as they once did. Knowing his era had ended, he left his pride silently. He turned away from the plains, where his cubs had played and his battles had been fought. He climbed into the cliffs high above the lands he once called home, where no voices echoed and no challengers followed. The rocks became his new world, and a small cave became the place where his story quietly continued each day. He stepped out slowly, his gaze meeting the sky, his ears catching the wind as if it might carry a memory from his youth. He remembered the days when his roar sent birds into flight and made trees seem smaller. But now those memories floated like faded clouds, too distant to grasp. His body weakened, but his will remained sharp. He hunted whatever small creatures he could find, dragging tired legs through the rough terrain. His wounds reopened often, and pain settled into his bones, but he kept going, guided by instinct and something deeper than survival. One afternoon, as clouds gathered above, and the wind picked up his nose, caught the scent of a deer nearby. His muscles tensed, hunger stirred not with rage, but with quiet urgency. This might be his chance for a full meal. Before nightfall, he crouched low, ignoring the ache in his joints, and surged forward. The deer sensed him and ran, leading him across a dangerous ridge. The chase was short, but intense. Every step felt like a mountain collapsing under him. Stones shifted and rolled beneath his paws, and just as he leaped forward, his foot slipped. A rock gave way, and the lion fell. He scrambled wildly, digging his claws into the cliff's edge, just in time to stop his fall. He dangled over the side, the drop below dark and endless. He roared not with pride, but with fear. His voice echoed across the cliffs, lost in the storm. He tried to pull himself up, claws scraping stone paws, trembling, but his strength faded quickly. The wind beat against his face, dust blinded his vision for hours. He fought, holding on to life, while the sky above grew darker. His body ached, his breath slowed, his eyes closed, and then opened again, as if he refused to accept that this was the end. Far below, on a winding mountain road, a man named Camel drove toward the ranger outpost. His years of working with wild animals had taught him that nature always speaks if one listens carefully. As he turned a corner, he heard a sound. It was faint, a low groan filled with pain and struggle. He stopped the car, stepped out, and listened again. Something was calling, not with rage, but with sorrow. Guided by instinct, he climbed toward the sound, careful with each step. Rocks crumbled beneath his boots, and the wind tried to push him back, but he continued until he saw what he could never forget. Lion, the king of this land, hung from the edge, eyes dull, breath shallow, claws bleeding. Camel paused, knowing the danger, yet something pulled him forward. Not bravery, not duty, but something far stronger. He whispered to the lion, spoke words as if talking to an old friend. The lion turned his head, their eyes met, and in that moment there was no fear, only recognition. The lion saw not a threat, but a chance, a hope. Camel crawled closer, his voice steady, his movements calm. I am here to help you. He said. His hands reached out, slowly gripping the lion's legs gently. The lion did not resist. Instead, he pushed against the stone as if offering his last ounce of strength. Camel pulled the weight, crushed his arms. Every muscle screamed. Rocks tumbled around him, but he held on. Inch by inch, the lion's body moved upward. The wind howled louder, as if protesting this defiance of fate. Camel's breath was heavy, his vision blurred, but he continued. He refused to fail. With one final surge, he dragged the lion onto the ledge. They both collapsed, breathing, as if the air itself had become thicker. The lion lay still, chest rising and falling slowly. Camel rolled away, watching carefully, not from fear, but from respect the lion stood slowly. Weak but alive, he looked at Camel, and something unspoken passed between them. The lion lowered his head, not in defeat, but in thanks. Camel reached out his hand, touched the lion's back. The fur was coarse, the bones beneath thin, but it was warm. Alive, real in that moment. There were no species, no fear, no walls. Only two living beings who had trusted one another. Kamal stood, slowly lifted his hand in farewell. The lion raised his head and gave a soft growl, a sound of understanding and respect. Kamal turned back toward the path. The lion followed a few steps, then stopped watching as the man disappeared into the distance, the clouds. Above broke sunlight, streamed through, casting gold upon the rocks. The lion stood at the edge, not broken. Not defeated, but reborn slowly. He turned back into the forest every step, painful every breath deep. But he walked not because he had to, but because he could far behind him. Camel glanced back once more, his heart heavy but full of something he could not describe. He knew he would never forget this day, and the lion who had taught him. What it meant to hold on the lion moved deeper into the trees, disappearing among the shadows. But the story did not end there. Somewhere in that vast wilderness, a sound rose, a low, steady roar, not of challenge, but of gratitude, and it rolled across the valley like a song of survival. Kamal sat in his car, his hand gripping the wheel, eyes still watching the forest line. He remembered the lion's youth, his rise and fall, and now his return. He started the engine, but part of him remained behind, where life and fate had danced at the edge of a cliff. This tale will live forever, carved into the rocks, sung by the winds, and remembered by two souls who met at the edge of despair and chose hope. If this story moved your heart, take a moment to show your support by liking the video and subscribing for more powerful journeys that remind us of the strength within every living being.